Malaysian police steamroll Bitcoin mining machines. Authorities on Borneo Island discovered the machines worth an estimated 5.3 million ringgit or $1.25 million in crackdowns between February and April. 8 people were arrested and allegedly stealing the equivalent of $2 million worth of electricity. The crypto miners stole electricity, the police official said. Their actions were dangerous for life and property as they can cause power outage. The government then proceeded to destroy all of the Bitcoin mining machines and all of the value contained there within. Josh Shigala, your thoughts on this incredible new Malaysian government steamroller action?
I mean, this is typical propaganda. Look at it. I mean, it's like all laid out perfectly with these steamrollers going over it. Now, I wonder if they grabbed all the abacuses as well and destroyed some other maths solving machines. An absolute ridiculous, ludicrous, typical government thing to do. Like, instead of selling the machine, selling the machines, let's have some. This is a $1.4 million propaganda campaign. Like, they literally burnt money. They're saying, oh, the poor people of this country, they could actually put those machines on their power stations. So when the power at nighttime is producing excess, it could mine some Bitcoin for them. But instead, let's use it for a marketing campaign about how good our cops are that busted these people that are entrepreneurs working. I mean, such disgusting, typical statist nonsense. It really is awful. It's gross.
I'm glad we got to go to Josh first on that one. And sure, they could have also put them on boats and shipped them out of their country, to keep the Bitcoin evil out of their country. They could have taken pictures of that too. But what a great video they got. Like Josh said, $1 million video.
Dan, but does it blend?
I know they could have gotten more hits. They could have gone more viral with it. They could have destroyed them in more creative and unique ways. This was kind of steamrollers, kind of basic. Dan, Eve, something better than a steamroller?
I think they could have blended it. That's for sure. I would have been behind that. But steamrolling it, what an utterly disgracefully wasteful action. They're already confiscated. The miners have been fined. They're put in jail. Blah blah blah. They're learning their lesson. For a start, they could have auctioned it off, right? They could have done something. They could have run it. They could have found a good renewable source that wasn't stealing power from the grid or whatever, and run them and made money from it. And there was the auction that comes to my mind is the 2014 one. The Tim Draper ended up nabbing all of the nearly 30,000 Bitcoin for $19 million, which is, even at just today's values, over or roughly $1 billion. And they might not have needed to hodl. They could have just auctioned them and kept the money. It's just crazy that there's such waste, especially when when you think about we should be economizing, we should be reusing things. We recycle plastic bags, and yet there's people steamrolling over high-tech equipment that could be used to secure the Bitcoin network mine and make loads of money for the economy. It's just insanity, really. It's like biting your nose to spite your face. It reminds me of this is an awful story. But when I used to work at McDonald's, it's kind of, I don't know where the analogy is, but I'm sure it's kind of linked in my head. It's what I thought of when I saw this. But at McDonald's, the manager used to, when we finished, as soon as it was like 11 o'clock, he'd go around all of the trays and all of the burgers, and he'd spit in every single one so that no one could have them, and they'd be all counted as waste. And you'd be like, yeah, that is freaking rotten. So that's what I compare it to. It's like spitting in a Big Mac that could have been eaten by someone. That's what it's like.
Now we go to Ugly Old Goat to defend the Malaysian government, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to take the opposite view on all this stuff, because first of all, if you somebody spittle on a Big Mac, it's just adding it more protein to it and building your immunities. But they're doing the right thing. If the guys, here's the question, was somebody really stealing the electricity, or what's the real story? But if they were stealing electricity, then yeah, the seizure is the correct thing to do. And you know what? When it's all said and done, we're probably all better off that they steamrolled the thing, because if I've had stuff of mine auctioned off before and they do such a crappy job, either they do such a crappy job, or else they're going to take a big, you're enriching the takers. And it's kind of like, well, when I was in prison, you know, I did a study of all these drug offenders, and the drugs and the money never matched. And there was always, like, the honest cop maybe just took some of the money, and the dishonest cops would take, well, the money and the drugs. But in every case that I've found, the money wasn't, and you know, they have the perfect argument too, because, oh, if you see, well, you had I had $300,000 in my bank account. Well, no, there's only 100 there. Oh yeah, but if you say, no, I got 300, you just get 5 more years because your sentence is enhanced. So it's kind of we're probably better off just steamrolling it, getting out of the hands of bureaucracy as fast as we can.
Who wants those dirty Malaysian government miners? They slow down the network. They don't know how to upkeep their machines. They probably can't even operate a can full of dust. Let's move on to the exit question. Which was a better photo op? As Dan referred to, the Silk Road auctions 1 and 2, which brought the US government hardly any money at all. We already spent it. It's gone. We could have built Smithsonian museums in every single capital city, fulfilling the American dream of a good museum near every American. Instead, we just got some millions of dollars that we just ate up in the government. Or the Malaysian steamroller? Was it better to burn the big money early or to physically destroy things? Josh Shigala, which did you prefer?
You know, I miss the days where billionaires would build libraries and Smithsonian museums and stuff instead of sending themselves to space. But yeah, I don't know, whatever. The Bitcoin network doesn't care if it loses a bunch of hashes. It's just more propaganda nonsense. Next.
As Gil Scott Heron said, a rat just bit my sister Nell, but Whitey's on the moon. Dan, Eve, your thoughts on what was a better photo opportunity?
Well, it obviously, you know, obviously went down quite well for the guys making the picture of the steamroller. You know, they obviously made quite an effort, like, you know, to get the press there and everything. But I don't know. I think the loss of that Bitcoin that the US could have just held for a little bit. You know, 19 million it really wasn't a lot of money, and it wasn't really that long after that it started to, you know, things started to get real crazy in Bitcoin price. So yeah, I think it was definitely a big loss for the US doing that auction. Big win for Draper though.
Again, we go to Ugly Old Goat to defend the Malaysian government. What an
Well, I got to take the opposite side again. No. We got to be. I'm for limited government. I'm for smaller government. Sell the Bitcoin. Glad they did it. You got it. You know, in fact, they did it wrong. They sold it. They should have just destroyed it and made all of us hodlers wealthy. Malaysia did it the right way. There wasn't as much Bitcoin there, but they steamrolled it. That Bitcoin's gone. It's gone. You know, now we don't, that 21 million, that pool's gone down maybe a little bit. That helps all of us.
Well, obviously, I support the creation of Smithsonian museums in all 50 states. It is a good idea for them to just destroy the Bitcoin if it's so bad, if it's so harmful. It was created by the Silk Road. It touched drugs and things. How could you give that to billionaire Tim Draper, minding his own business, buying everything at your auction? This really smart guy, early investor in Hotmail, has a whole university dedicated to startups, and he buys your entire auction. And you're like, we got a really good deal for our government. Our government is a good client. Like, we could have gotten all those museums, but instead we made the rich guy richer.